Well, I'm Mary Ann Bradbury. This is my husband, Dorn.
I'm Trisha Schilling, and this is my husband, Adam.
We're Chad and
Jana Lorette.
We came to Canyon Church about 2 years ago.
We first found the preschool for our daughter, and I also worked there for a little bit. I found that several of the teachers also went to the church, so I suggested to Chad that while we were looking for a church home, we try Canyon, and after just one visit, we loved it. Our number one priority was finding a pastor that we could relate to and feel inspired by, and Pastor Russell was just that.
Yeah, and we tried a lot of churches in this area. I'll just say we tried probably 5 or 6 different churches, and none of them felt the way that we felt when we first came here. So it was sort of a match made in heaven, and I think we were a little hesitant at first because we weren't raised Baptist, and so we didn't really understand what that actually meant. And after I did some research and sort of learned the fundamentals of baptism, or being Baptist versus non-denominational Christian or Catholic and all the different ones, we realized it wasn't that far off, and that they were following the teachings of the Bible, and that's what we were about. And so we decided to give it a shot, and we're glad we did.
For me, being baptized was really important to me after I had kids, because I knew I wanted to raise them in His light, and I felt that being baptized was the first step in me reconfirming my faith and showing my kids what that means.
Yeah, and for me, I was baptized as a kid. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but as I got older and I grew closer to my faith, we found a church home. I knew that I wanted to do whatever it took to create that unity and create that community. And so after talking with Pastor Russell and really deciding that this was the place we wanted to be long term, it just made sense for us to take that next step and create that unity. I sing in the choir, and I'm also volunteering on the security team, and also join men's groups any chance that I get. Like the retreat we just did was super fun.
Yeah, and I love serving in the events that really bring the community together, like VBS and Fall Fest. And I also worked at the preschool for a bit and really loved that experience as well.
I think more than anything, it's created a community for us to practice our faith.
We began looking for a church about a year ago, because we've been here about a year. And we had been in a number of churches in the area, but we were really looking for a church that valued children and had a good children's ministry, even though our children now are grown and we have a grandchild who lives in the area. But we were really looking for a church that really valued children and really had a good children's ministry going, and that's kind of what we found here.
We started many years ago when our children were small. There wasn't anybody to serve in the children's ministry or the preschool ministry, and we volunteered basically because we had 2 children. And I saw the need for it, and I enjoyed doing it. I liked doing it. I just felt like there's a real need for children to see what Jesus and God's about and what the church is about. And as a small child, I had that kind of experience.
I've spent about 15 years on church staff in churches in Texas and Oklahoma. It's just always been my calling. When you look in those faces of those young children and they say, "I know you," which is what one little girl did to me one of the first Sundays that I was volunteering. She came in the door and she said, "I know you." And that just warms my heart. I learned a long time ago that the first thing children really learn about God and Jesus is that they see it in people who love and care for them. And so they learn about God, and they learn about Jesus, and they learn about His love through people who are willing to spend time with them, who are willing to love them, who are willing to sacrifice their time to be with them.
We first started getting involved through some friends we met in our pre-K school. Our kids became friends, and through small talk it became, I think we got invited to a Wednesday little silly thing where there was a character dressed up and we just kind of sang songs about Jesus on a very kid, silly, fun level. And that was just growing in a friendship, how we first came to Canyon Church. And we loved everything we saw. We loved the energy of it. We loved how, I think, family inclusive it felt. And then it was easy to keep coming back after that first time.
We've been moving frequently, being in the military. It's been going from one place to the other. And it was a struggle trying to be in one place long enough to find a community. And so over time, we eventually moved here to Dripping Springs, and that was one of the big things, having kids, is like, we want to find a community. We want to have people with similar values. And, you know, what better way to start than to meet the Voguses? And from there, as we continue to expand in the community, it was amazing. I think after the first couple times we started coming to church here, I was like, hey, I remember you from baseball, or I remember you from this activity. And just seeing how spread out the Canyon Church community is throughout Dripping Springs and how involved they are in the community really helped kind of solidify, you know, where we wanted to be, and to help kind of be that leadership and that guidance, not just for us, but for our kids as well. There's a lot of values that we try to teach, but it's also important for us to have, you know, other people with similar values also teaching those things to our children to also help guide us. And I think one of the other things that helped want us to drive us here was, you know, we've done a lot of times, you know, alone. I don't know if you'd call it suffering alone, but a lot of times where I'm gone, you know, whether it's away for deployment or 2 weeks AT, stuff like that, where I'm not available. And so the big thing too is having the community for Trisha, where I'm gone for a long time. It's hard raising 2 boys.
So something that surprised me is I always feel like our world will support Adam and all that he is, and me and my woes and struggles need to get swept under the rug. And I was kind of taken aback this month, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Stephanie, the kids minister, reached out to me asking if there was any way that the church could support me personally, through like bringing a meal, or just how could they serve me. And I was really taken aback because, like, my woes don't matter. I need to just kind of deal with it. And I was really surprised at that level of being seen and being part of a like God-focused community, that there really are people looking out for you and seeing you and trying to help where they can. And it was really wonderful to be a part of that. It was the most welcoming reset for me when we first started coming, that as soon as we would leave church, I felt like our family just worked so much better. We always came home and had lunch, and we would talk about what we learned about God, how it applied in the week. I think what changed most was how we just started evolving the week's lesson into our family meal conversations.
Yeah, it definitely helped fill our cups, you know, at the end of each week, getting ready to start the week off. And, you know, coming to the church initially, you know, it can be difficult. It can be kind of scary sometimes coming to a new environment. We both grew up in the Catholic Church, and so, you know, a lot of that is very, I think, structured and whatnot. But coming here, like, it felt like a family. Like, it wasn't awkward. It wasn't anything. Everybody was welcoming, and it made it so much easier to just want to continue coming week after week. It was a no-brainer that we wanted to get baptized again immediately after that, just to, you know, recommit ourselves to God and start the journey. And especially do it at a point where our kids are kind of old enough to kind of understand a little bit about what's going on. And so to be able to do that in front of our kids was, I think, really important too. And it's kind of an exciting journey so far.
I'm really just most grateful since we've become members of the church on how, as a wife and a mom and just a person, how it's changed me to be more, I don't know what the word would be, maybe more service-oriented towards all pillars of my life, as opposed to, I find it is easy for me to get in this frenzy of like, what is my to-do list? What needs to get done today? Versus there's so much more to life than that. And it's been just a life shift for me in the best possible way. Really leaning full into this, and it's been wonderful for us and our family.